always welcome the unexpected.
Now that Addison and Zed have secured another era of peace for monsters outside the sleepy town of Seabrook, surely our newest heroes can rest easy, right? Well, I hate to say it, but trouble might be on the horizon for Victor and Nova in Zombies 5. As Dawn of the Vampires came to a close, we received the ominous sign of underwater life outside of Sunnyside, as a water geyser erupted from the waves not far from the beach. We're almost certain that this epilogue scene foreshadows the next film and promises the arrival of mermaids. But what if we also received another group of monsters with more sinister motives? Today's video will delve into the arrival of mermaids and sirens, before theorizing a potential conflict that could make a big splash, felt from the mountains all the way back to Seabrook. If you're a longtime fan of the franchise, you know part of the film's formula is to introduce a new group of monsters with every adventure. By introducing a new group, the story remains fresh and there's always a new conflict to keep the audience engaged. With that in mind, we can say with complete certainty that Zombies 5 will have a new group of monsters, ones that Victor and Nova must help their people interact with. All signs point to the new monsters being mermaids. There aren't many fictional or supernatural creatures who live in the ocean, so unless they're made up of an entirely new civilization, we have few options to choose from. Mermaids make the most sense, and we know they exist because they make a brief cameo at the end of Zombies 3. Their cameos are nothing more than a brief animated shot, but mermaids, otherwise known as merfolk, make themselves known to the rest of the world before settling near the shores of Seabrook. Seabrook is a town that accepts and welcomes monsters. Throughout the 4 films, it has become a haven for monsters of every kind, likely well known across the world as a place that welcomes anyone, including creatures from outer space. If the mermaids gave up their isolation at the bottom of the ocean floor to live in Seabrook, they must have good intentions and a desire for peaceful coexistence alongside humans and other monsters. I find it hard to believe that they would leave the comfort of their new home to infiltrate the Daywalkers' beach to stir up trouble. Instead, it makes more sense for a secondary group to have arrived, seeking something only the Daywalkers and vampires can provide, say, a power source like a moonstone capable of reviving an entire orchard within seconds. As I mentioned in the introduction, I expect these secondary monsters to be sirens. They're often lumped together with mermaids in many stories, despite having a darker reputation.
Their people are enemies, yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of 2 someones we know.
With their alluring voices and power to manipulate the mind, sirens usually lure sailors to their doom with their songs. A group of monsters capable of hypnotizing, brainwashing, or influencing others with their voices would fit right in with this musical franchise. They're perfect. They could force any of the main characters to help them steal the Moonstone, putting our favorite vampires between a rock and a hard place. The Sirens might also have an active conflict with the Mermaids. After all, if each group had lived in secret from the rest of the world since its creation, why would it make itself known at the same time, risking its safety and anonymity? The Sirens may have driven the Mermaids from their home, and without another choice, they could have fled to Seabrook, believing it the safest place for them to hide. By living in plain sight and making allies with other monster groups, they've given themselves the added safety numbers, should the Sirens try to attack them again. I'll paint a picture for you. 2 civilizations fighting for decades for control over the ocean. Similar to the central conflict between the Daywalkers and vampires, the merfolk and their siren counterparts could have competed for resources. From the safest places to live to the gathering of food sources, the merfolk might have valued an ethical form of harvesting, ensuring they don't take more from the ocean's ecosystem than it can replenish. The sirens, meanwhile, might take more than their share, killing the coral reefs and local wildlife. When they had nothing left to harvest, they might resort to sinking human ships to steal their supplies. Another unethical act that the merfolk don't approve of. If the merfolk tried to put up a fight, the sirens likely didn't fight fair, pushing them into a corner until they had no choice but to retreat. As they left their homes and citizens behind, they must have also abandoned the greater oceans, allowing the sirens to run rampant. Without someone to monitor their activities or fight back, the sirens might have done more harm than good, forcing them to come closer to land to seek energy sources, food, shelter, and other necessities.
The phases of the moon, but they're not in the right order. Bright and shiny seems like your department.
Once Victor and Nova realize who their neighbors are, they could send word to Addison and Zed, who returned to Seabrook at the end of Zombies 4. Technically, they're actors retired from the franchise, but that doesn't mean we can't hear from their characters through a letter, email, or text. If they can't come to help themselves, they could send friends from the merfolk to give special insight and a helping hand in defeating their common enemy. As the Sirens might try to steal supplies from every monster group or launch a secondary attack against the merfolk and Seabrook, Zombies 5 could feature a full-scale war between every monster group so far, allowing old characters to return for a triumphant final fight. The new characters might aim to form lifelong friendships with the zombies, werewolves, merfolk, and aliens who reside in Seabrook. Once all is said and done, the Sirens have to be outnumbered with so many groups working together, especially if they use the combined power of their moonstones to defeat the Sirens. Once the fighting is done, most Sirens might return to the depths of the sea, never to resurface, but others might have a change of heart, submitting peacefully to their enemies in hopes for a better life. Every movie also shows an antagonist changing sides and becoming a recurring ally of the main cast. So we can bet on a few Sirens choosing to live alongside the merfolk. And really, isn't that a more than fair agreement? They'll receive a second chance at life, join a new community that supports them, gain access to resources to sustain them, and find allies to protect them.
You feel safe? Because I don't. The orchard's in ashes, and we hurt the people who wanted to help us.
It seems to me that the merfolk in this scenario have always had things figured out, while the Sirens still have a lot to learn. Fortunately, Victor and Nova should make great teachers. As for the Sirens themselves, I hope the costume department incorporates ocean motifs into their designs. Most of the monsters look just like humans with slight variations, and many of them can pass as a normal human with little issue. That makes sense with them living side by side with humans, but the mermaids and Sirens should be different, given their lifetimes in the water. Naturally, most mermaids and Sirens are depicted with tails to help them swim, but I would also love to see patches of scales, gills, fins at the elbow, or night vision that helps them navigate the ocean depths. Their clothing should be different too. The merfolk of Seabrook might have land-bought fabric to incorporate into their designs, but the Sirens would have to rely on materials from their surroundings, like coral and seaweed for their fashion. Just thinking about it gets me kind of excited, and I can already tell that a story like this has the potential to be narratively and visually stunning. Zombies is one of Disney's most popular live-action franchises right now, and it's earned an updated budget to help bring this vision to life. If you're like me and thought the scene of Victor and Nova riding on the wind together was impressive, then I'm sure we'll both be blown away when the next installment finally premieres.
Visions brought us here together for a reason. And I don't know what that reason is, but I know it isn't so our people can hate each other more.
I'm a big fan of the franchise, and I would love to see Sirens added to the next film. We know the films received a soft reboot in Dawn of the Vampires, and having each film follow the narrative of two warring groups overcoming their differences could be what makes Nova and Victor's stories stand out from their predecessors. They are the future leaders of their respective societies, so it makes sense that they would form political connections with new monsters and seek peaceful resolutions. Do you think they have what it takes to bring mermaids and Sirens together? Might the next film include a battle unlike any we've seen before? Share your predictions in the comments section below.
You love us so much that you don't question things that don't make sense. But I love us so much that I have to question things that don't make sense.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
Our friends and family love us no matter what. First string or second string.
Cheer captain or cheerleader, that does not matter.